importante que está presente en este festival. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for inviting us.
And I'm sorry for my blabbing in Spanish before your interview. So, San Sebastián Film Festival. What do you think about this date in the festival's calendar? What does San Sebastián mean to you and your company, Susan?
Well, San Sebastián is a wonderful place to be. They treat the films that are here really fantastically well, and it's an overwhelming experience the way the audience reacts when people get out of the screenings. And for people who haven't tried it, or directors and actors who haven't tried that before, going down the stairs, seeing everyone standing there applauding, it's a fascinating experience.
So it's a good test for films, right? If you bring a film here, you can somehow know what's the reaction of the audience. How can you manage I don't know, just tell us how does it work?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great audience here. So like they are always, so enthusiastic about, especially when Susan says for the main competition titles, the way that they receive the film and everything. But I was going to add that like we've been coming here. I think my first year here was in 2005.
Okay.
So it's almost 20 years ago, and with the company Zentropa, the production company that we also work with. We've been participating with over maybe 8 or 10 films during the year, almost. So it really, and it's a great place also for the Spanish distribution for us, also in terms of sales, as we do world sales. So yeah.
Okay, so let me introduce a little trailer and then we'll be back with you. Vamos a ver un tráiler de 20 segundos, el tráiler del superviviente de Auschwitz, y enseguida regresamos.
El superviviente de Auschwitz, pero nadie sabe cómo lo consiguió. La chica que dejé en mi país no sabe que estoy vivo. Quiero convertirte en una atracción. ¡Traidor! Necesito ganar.
No puedes, pero puedes sobrevivir.
¿Merece la pena luchar por ella?
Estamos de vuelta en el set de Kinótico con el equipo de TrustNordisk. Which films would you like to recommend our audience from San Sebastián? Do you have films here this year you can recommend, Susan or Nikolai?
Absolutely. We have The Promised Land, which is in Bastarden. And just this morning, it was announced that this is going to be the Danish Oscar entry.
Wow.
So we're very excited about that. And I think it's absolutely a film worth seeing.
Okay.
No matter how old you are.
I saw it in Venice and I loved it. I really loved it. It's a really, really good film with Mads Mikkelsen. Everyone knows that. How does it work, your daily schedule here in San Sebastián? Is it meetings all the time? Is it meetings and screenings? How does your work develops here in San Sebastián?
I mean, this time here, we're here for a very short time. We're only here for 48 hours, so it's a very packed program. So we're primarily here with the team for the film The Promised Land, which will premiere in like 2 hours. So it's all about the team, and Susan and I managed to have a few meetings here as well with some Spanish distributors as well. But after Venice, actually, where the film premiered, we went to Toronto.
Oh.
So we were also there in the meantime, and the film will continue to Hamburg later this week, and next week again I will be in South Korea.
Traveling all the time.
Yes,
traveling all the time. Yeah. Have you seen a huge change in your panorama, in your job in the last 5 or 10 years? Because the platforms were there like 5-7 years ago, then the pandemic changed it all again. So how do you see the landscape changing with all these new factors in the equation?
Well, I think it's a balance, because for every film, some films can still work in the traditional ways, like with The Promised Land, for instance, where the film sold to classic distributors all around in the world. One of the big changes, I think, for us is that you have to be much earlier in the works, meaning that you start with the films on script stage, when the films are announced. So for this one, for instance, when we announced the film in Cannes 22, that the film was going to happen, and the cast, we already pre-sold like the US on the script at that point. So you start much earlier and work a lot time longer with the films ahead, of the film being done and less once the film is done.
This process is very, very related to the Oscars process because the films selected for this for the ceremony of the Oscars, they have to have some strengths, some factors that make them suitable and perfect for the career, which is a tough job in the States and in Europe. So, which would you think, or would you say, are the strengths of Bastarden for the Oscars race?
Why it was? You mean?
Yeah, and why
this
do
whole
you think
journey
it can
for...
connect with the voters in the Academy?
Well, it's a great story. It's not a film where you necessarily have to feel that you need like a long education to understand and like look up every word. Like it's just classic in many ways, but it's just so well crafted, and it has a lot of elements in terms of like racism and sex abuse and today's subjects. So I really feel that it's just it's a good time. You go in and you will be entertained from the very first minute until the film finished 2 hours later. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And the film as well, having a US distributor on board, obviously, who also believes in the film and already from early stages have engaged with a really great publicist that was also attached to another round when that won a few years ago. So really planning everything into the right direction, working with the artwork and everything together with the US distributor as well, makes it, at least promising we're going in the right direction, but competition is hard this year as well.
I know there are many factors in the mix. Spain is there too, so we're trying to. So thank you very much for being with us today. My last question would be from Filmin. They want to know a film that changed your life. Susan.
I've been thinking a bit about it, and I have to say, and it's a very special way of describing why it changed my life, but we had a fiction film called You, July 22, which was about Utøya and made as fiction, but it felt like a documentary. And we had to find a way to treat this. We hadn't seen anything, we just were engaged in the premises, but it was so special, and I still recall we had to do like kind of we wouldn't even call it a promo, but something from the film to show. And I had to see it, we all had to see it on beforehand. I was at a market, left the room, saw it, and I cried for 10 minutes.
Wow.
So it really did something to me, and I was really proud to see that the film actually came to Berlin and was acknowledged as a film about this very important subject as well, and not like focusing on the perpetrator, but focusing on the ones who were there, who either died or survived.
I was in the first screening in Berlin, and it was really moving. I remember that very well. Nikolai.
Well, I can't beat that experience, and I don't know if I have anything life-changing. But I think there was something changing, at least for me, to know what I wanted to work with. And I think when we had this a film called In a Better World by Susanne Bier 15 years ago,
magnificent film.
And I love that film so much, and that whole work that we had with the film, and from zero until winning the Oscar, I really think that manifested in me in a way that I knew I just love this. This is what I want to work with and do. So maybe that kind of maybe changed my work life a bit.
Thank you so much, Nikolai, Susan. Thank you for telling us how TrustNordisk work with the films. It's really important for us you to be here. So thank you very much. Thank you. Y a vosotros y vosotras, gracias por seguir ahí. Seguimos en Kinótico, primera con K y segunda con C.